the wisdom of generations of women to help you have more joy every day. The Wisdom Coalition program begins right now.
There's no reason to focus on your age. The purpose of life is to do good in the world.
If you don't resist it and you go with it, it becomes aging gracefully. It becomes the most powerful thing that you can do in life.
How can we age with grace?
Welcome to the Wisdom Coalition program. I'm Nancy Wertine.
And I'm Kim Howie. Thanks for joining us.
So listen to this. Studies show that by 2030, the number of older Americans will have more than doubled to 70 million, making more than 20% of the population 65 years old or older.
And statistically, women outlive men by more than 5 years.
So, ladies, that means that whether you like it or not, we are aging.
And we have to figure out how to do that with grace and a full heart.
62% of the female population in the U.S. is over 40, but some studies say older men appear as much as 10 times more frequently than older women in the media. Men in all forms of media are featured well into their 70s, while women tend to start becoming invisible in media right around age 40. A national poll says nearly 90% of people think women are under more pressure to look younger than men are. And 42% of women 50 to 59 say they feel they need to look young to be successful at work, nearly double the number of men.
So let's talk about this subject and the issues that concern women.
Our first guest is Nicola Gutgold. She is a professor of communication arts and sciences at Penn State Lehigh Valley. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Now, you've also are an award-winning author of 10 books, several that examine the roles of women in non-traditional fields. And you've said in the past that growing older is a true gift. So I want to know what the gift is, because you know what? It doesn't always feel like a gift. So what would you say is the true gift in growing older?
Well, I would say I'm an optimist, so I do tend to look on the bright side. But I know many people who didn't make it to their 50th birthday. And so when I think about being more than 50 years old, I feel victorious. And I also think that it comes with some opportunities to be more comfortable than I was when I was younger. And I remember when I was turning 40, I was at a Girl Scout meeting with my young daughter at the time, and a woman said, "Oh, tomorrow's your 40th birthday." And I remember thinking completely the opposite. I remember thinking, hooray, I'm done with the insecurity of youth. And that's what I mean by the gift. I mean the freedom to really feel like I know what I want, I know who I am, and I don't have to worry as much as when I was younger and I had more difficulties with career, families. I feel like my family has been raised. My children are adults now. I feel like I'm more established in my career than I was when I was younger. And I feel very happy about that. So I feel now this is my moment to be more secure about the future.
That's great. Well, and so you've studied and interviewed a lot of women throughout your career. And in your observations, how would you define aging gracefully?
I think it is a challenge. I think that this is a very important topic because through my research, I have found that women face a double bind as we age. And Kathleen Hall Jamieson from University of Pennsylvania published a very worthwhile book about double binds, and one of them is age and invisibility. And she contends that in our youth-saturated culture, as women age, we become invisible. People don't want to talk to us anymore. People don't want to feature us in photographs or on television anymore because we are no longer as youthful and as vibrant as we have been.
And you know, that's a really interesting point. You've also interviewed women around the world in different, not just the United States. What would you think is the difference between the attitudes toward women aging in the U.S. versus the attitudes in other parts of the world?
Well, I'll give you an example. You know, I remember being in France and seeing women 20 years older than I am wearing clothing that I would even say to myself, oh, you know, choose something a bit more modest. You're not a teenager anymore. You'll look better in this. It's more age appropriate. And so I think there is more of a tendency for women to celebrate their age in some countries versus ours. But I hope that that's changing. because I think that through your program and through the sheer numbers of women who are aging, we can make a difference by not turning down opportunities to talk about the gift that aging is.
Yeah, and oftentimes women in other countries are revered as being more wise with age.
That's true, and I would like to embrace that too. And I think that every time something happens in history, there's a reaction. And I think in our recent political history, we have seen a positive reaction of women wanting to, as I tell my students at Penn State, speak up and speak well. Don't turn down an opportunity to let your voice be heard.
Thanks so much for being with us, Nicola.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back in just a moment, but you can go to thewisdomcoalition.com and join in on this conversation. We'd love to hear from you.
But first, some more reflections on this topic from our well of wisdom.
So aging with grace for me at this point of my life, it's even though I'm a makeup artist and it's all about skincare and the way you look, it's the way you accept yourself inside, and that will come out on any situation, any conversation, in an everyday living. It's the beauty that you have inside that is projecting.
Welcome back. Our next guest is Lisa Bien. You are the author of 2 books, Life Happens, Bounce Back, and Divorce Happens, Bounce Back. Thanks for being with us.
It's my pleasure.
Now, I know that you counsel a lot of women who go through difficulties in their lives, and I would imagine some of them do talk to you about their attitudes toward aging. So how do you counsel women? What do you say to them when they sort of get down on themselves about aging?
I go, what are you, crazy? It's never too late to make a change or embrace who we are. I think that, I work with a woman, she said, I hate being 50. She's like, I don't even acknowledge my birthday anymore. And I said, what? I love my birthday. I turned 51 this month. It was great because I'm celebrating me and celebrating life. So I think that it's a choice of how we embrace aging. We get to decide, just like we get to decide how we're going to face anything in our life. We can make it oh my God, it's an obstacle, or we can make it, this is going to be the best time. And honestly, as we get older, we get better. Right?
I love that. Well, and happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. It's a month-long celebration for me.
Oh, I understand. I have the same approach to my birthday, so that's wonderful. So I guess if I hear what you're saying it's more of a mindset, right?
Absolutely. I think it is a mindset. And I think our society is getting so much better with embracing all kinds of people. I mean, I remember when I'm going to date myself, I'm 51, so when I was growing up, it was, you had to be thin or you had to look a certain way. Now it's like, it's cool to be you. Mm-hmm. It's cool to be you. And I think that's the message that is so important to remember, whether we're 51 or we're 15, no matter what age we are in life, no matter what stage we're in life, it's just cool to be you and to embrace who you are, and how we embrace that is so important.
But I do think that it's not always that easy. I mean, because as women, many of us, many times in society, we define ourselves by our looks. And let's face it, as we age, our looks change a little bit. Oddly enough, my husband and I have the same birthday. And when it's our birthday, he will shout to the rooftops his age. And I sit in the corner with my hands over my ears going, I can't hear you. Because I don't want, if he says his age, then everybody knows my age.
Right.
It's a little bit difficult. So help me and help us through that barrier, getting onto the other side of that I'm changing and I don't like it feeling.
Right. So you have to look, I always say, we have to look and see who we really are. So if you're looking in the mirror and you see a wrinkle or two and you say, oh, I don't really like that, look past that and look at your eyes and say, like, you have the most beautiful blue eyes. I've been looking into your eyes. And so look at something that is beautiful, but then go a little deeper, right? So stop it. So let's get real. Like, let's stop us obsessing about our face, our wrinkles, our weight. Let's get a little deeper, because when our life is over, people don't remember what we look like. They remember how we made them feel. We remember our heart. People remember how we spoke to them, how we treated them, the memories. They're not going to say, oh, for her birthday, she looked like she put 10 pounds on. Does anybody really say that? Right? So let's get real and really think about what's important. Look at what doesn't. Look at the things that aren't physical. Take assessment of your life, of what you do have, the relationships that you've built, the relationships with your spouse or your children. That's what life's about. Embrace that.
Yeah, we talk about living our lives from the inside out all the time at the Wisdom Coalition, and how important that is. You know.
It's the way we really should be living, and I know it's hard, but we put so much pressure on ourselves to look a certain way. Just be you, and just remember what's really important. When you build a house, okay, and the house gets taken away, what's left of that house? It's the memories.
I was going to say the foundation.
The foundation and the memories, right? So it's, what you built, the love that's in your heart, the love that's in your home. And I think that that's what we all need to remember is that, yes, we all get older. It's a part of life. It can be hard for some. And that's another point. If you decide you want to go out and get Botox tomorrow, that's okay. So stop judging. You know what I mean? I think that women need to really stop judging each other. We do it all the time. Oh, do you stay at home or do you work? What do you do? What do you do? It starts at such an early age. Let's end it.
Well, I'll tell you what, you made me feel better, but I'm still not saying my age. But stay right there, because we'll be back in just a moment to talk to you a little bit more.
And remember, you can go to our website, thewisdomcoalition.com, and join the conversation online. We'd love to hear from you.
But first, more reflections on this topic from our well of wisdom.
The older I get, the less concerned I am about what others think of me.
To me, aging with grace is living life of promise and productivity.
Welcome back. Lisa and Nikki join us now to continue our conversation.
Well, studies show that the most common things women fear about aging: losing their attractiveness, becoming invisible, being left alone, financial destitution, illness, or being dependent on others. So what would you say are some practical solutions to some of those worries for women?
Well, one of the things I would say is take care of yourself in all of those respects. Be proactive. When it comes to feeling good, try to do the things that make you well. If it's eating foods that make you feel better and exercising, do those things. If it's having more friends around to go on expeditions and have fun with, do those things. Take care of yourself, both physically and mentally. No one else will. You must advocate for your own wellness in every way. I feel very passionate about that.
I agree, and I would also add, get over this whole thing like, I don't want to be alone. What's with that? I love my alone time. I think people should embrace some alone time. And if that's a fear of yours, then what do? You take it head on. Schedule some alone time once a week for yourself. First of all, it can be therapeutic. I find it to be so therapeutic. I love coming home and no one's home. And okay, I have 4 hours all to myself, or I just needed some quiet space, because when it's quiet and we can be reflective, then we really can identify what's going on in our head. Stop the noise, calm down. So if there's things, like you said, physically, take care of yourself. Alone time, embrace it. What was the other two? Sorry.
Illness, being dependent on others, financial destitution.
Well, illness is illness. Whether you're 5 or you're 55, you could become ill. So again, being proactive. I just had this conversation with my husband yesterday. I said, you ought to make a relationship with a doctor. I said, you're not as young as you used to be, and it would be helpful for you to have that relationship, to be able to go to a doctor as you get a little bit older. And I think that that's a true concern for all of us, whether we're young or old. Illness happens. But dealing with it with courage and bravery is important too.
That could be another topic for my book. Illness happens, bounce back. So. But in all seriousness, I love that idea of going to the doctor and starting a relationship, and then identify, what are we talking here? Like, how old? Like, we're in our 50s. I'm not even thinking of that yet. I have a 13-year-old I watch at the baseball field still, so I'm not there yet, but I'm thinking maybe when we're way older, but as we go, we should think about keeping a list of maybe the medications we need, things like that. Write things down so that, God forbid, there is an emergency or you get sick, it's there. It's right there for you, everything you need.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
And financial concerns are very real as well. People need money to survive. And so each one of us is responsible for keeping our financial house in order. And whatever that means, maybe we don't have very much, so we need to be frugal. Maybe we need to hold back on helping everyone around us and make sure we have enough for our retirement. But I think that this proliferation of more programming on women and money is very, very positive, because there was a time a woman couldn't get a credit card in her own name, and it wasn't very long ago. So I think we do need to make sure we have enough money to secure our present and our future.
Yeah, and when it comes to the health concerns, we have to recognize that we do have an aging population, and that, they're saying will put a strain on our healthcare system. In fact, the CDC has reported that over half of the U.S. aging population has some type of chronic health condition. So, to your point of getting to know your doctor and really self-care,
I would say getting to know your doctor,
yeah.
and also understanding all your health insurance, because in the way that the world is going today, it's so important to understand what your health insurance provides, and becoming an advocate for yourself, both with your health care, your hospital, and your doctor, to understand what you get, what you don't get. It's critical.
Just before we started, we were having such a heated conversation about aging. We don't have much time left, but what would be your utopia for women and in this society and the approach that they have toward aging?
I would say stay optimistic and keep doing the things you love to do as you age, because you are still you. So you shouldn't wake up one day and say, oh, I'm X age, I shouldn't be doing this anymore. Press on with the identity you had when you were 7 years old. Your 70-year-old self is probably very similar to your 7-year-old self, so don't give it up.
All right, Lisa, real quick.
I would say, I like that. I love that. I agree with it. Except if your 7-year-old self wasn't happy, make sure your 70-year-old self is happy. Embrace all the things you love about who you are internally, and get off your back. You're your own monkey on your back with your external aging, and just embrace life.
Thank you so much to both of you for being with us.
At the Wisdom Coalition, we talk a lot about how increasing joy helps us as we age.
Yeah, it's so important. And we'll be right back in just a moment with a health tip in the kitchen for women of any age.
Aging gracefully, to me, is when I think of the word graceful, I think of a ballerina. Is there anybody more fluid than a ballerina? Is there anybody more in control than a ballerina? Is there anybody more powerful? I mean, the strength of a ballerina, but yet she's graceful.
Welcome back. Part of aging gracefully is making sure that we take care of ourselves.
Yeah, it's eating healthy things like salads.
Yeah, but the problem is a lot of times it's the dressings we put on the salads that makes the salads not so healthy after all. So we have a special guest with us now, Megan Camp. You are Community Relations Director for Core Life Eatery, which has a new location in Allentown. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
And
we love Core Life. It's like fast food, but healthy fast food.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And you're going to make us a healthy dressing.
Yes.
What dressing are you going to make us?
I will be making the carrot chili vinaigrette today.
Okay.
Yes. So we're going to start by juicing some carrots.
Okay, and I'm supposed to do the juicing,
Yes,
right? Okay, I've been
please,
practicing. Yeah. I'm a little nervous. All right, I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to juice.
Okay. Quick try. Good job.
I think I did it. That was a little scary.
That was excellent.
Okay.
So we're going to take this and
it smells good.
Yes, fresh carrot juice. I'm going to pour that into our blender.
Okay.
Then we're going to take 2.25 cups of grapeseed oil. Grapeseed oil has a really neutral taste, so it allows that fresh carrot juice to come through. Pour that in.
I like it already.
Yes.
That's delicious.
And then we're going to take a cup of white wine vinegar. Ooh, steady hands. We're going to pour that in.
Okay.
Excellent. Now we're going to add agave, which is
Make
a
it a little
sweetener. Yeah. We have that there, and sriracha to give it a little bit of a kick.
I like it. I like a kick.
That's for you, not for me.
And of course, we want to do fresh minced garlic. It's the best flavor.
Yeah, yeah.
So we have that, and we are going to put the top on the blender. Very important.
Yes.
Very important. And away we go.
Now, you're making a pretty good amount. I mean, but we could make a smaller amount at home with our own blender, couldn't we?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just have to, get your quantities.
Yes.
This is not bad if you were hosting a party. This might be a good
That looks
amount
delicious.
to have.
Looks like a smoothie.
Right? And it's so fresh. You can get all of these ingredients right at your local grocery store. There's a little test there, super fresh.
I'm gonna have a little taste of that. That looks great. You know, I noticed a lot of the salad dressings at Core Life, you have some strong flavors in there. You know, like the garlic and the sriracha, and I think I saw some cucumber, basil, and those kind of things. Why are the stronger tasting herbs important, do you think, in a salad dressing?
Well, I think that's where a lot of the flavor comes from. When you are using fresh herbs, they're so flavorful, and they really come through, right? So if you're using a base like an oil, a grapeseed oil, the flavors from the herbs, especially the fresh herbs, really pull through because it's such a natural. Or the Greek yogurt, that the cucumber basil has a Greek yogurt base, and so I watched them make it this morning, and it was about this much fresh basil and cucumbers, and about this much of the Greek yogurt, right? So those fresh herbs really, just that flavor just comes out.
I mean, this is so good. I could just drink this like a drink. It's so good.
And so good for you.
I was just going to say the spice might be a little too much for me, but how do you figure out which dressings go with which salads?
You know what? That's a taste profile preference. I have a very savory palate, so I enjoy the very savory dressings. People, you can switch them in and out, no problem. If you have a preference, the carrot chili vinaigrette is one of my favorites, so I put it on anything. The miso sesame ginger dressing, again, is another favorite.
You know, we're going to put some dressing on this, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but we're running out of time. So let's put some dressing on this, and we thank you so much for joining us. This looks lovely.
Oh my gosh, that looks
amazing. Look at that. Thank you so much for being with us.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you. And go out and spread some joy today.